mi gente. This is Esmeralda Villeda. I'm a host for the Las Vegas Legal Network. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing the man himself, David Kohlmeier. He is the founder and director of client relations for the Las Vegas Legal Network. David, thank you so much for being here with me today. Are you excited?
I'm excited. I'm actually nervous. I'm excited to talk with you today.
Nervous, but why?
I have no clue why.
Listen, this is why we're, sipping on a little bit of tequila, ease out the nerves a little bit.
Absolutely.
Good.
Thank you so much for taking the time and basically interviewing me today.
Well, listen, David, I was super excited. I've heard a lot of great things about you in the community. You've done a lot of networking. You've, introduced me to a couple different people as well that have helped leverage me, myself, my business as well. So thank you so much for the opportunity to interview you. This is super exciting.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. With that, let's go ahead and get started then. So let's go ahead and find out a little bit more information about what it is that you're doing with the Las Vegas Legal Network. So tell me a little bit about yourself first, where you're from. How did you end up here in Las Vegas? Because you're not from here. I know that for a fact.
Correct. My accent's a little East Coast though.
Just a little bit.
So basically, I grew up in New York City. I actually moved out here about February will be 20 years.
Okay.
And basically, born and raised in New York City, family, got an older brother, my parents, God bless, they're alive. I actually just recently moved out here as well. But I basically grew up in New York and actually I wound up becoming a New York City police officer for about 4 years during 9/11.
Wow, well, thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you. And I basically worked during 9/11, survived that specific incident. It was across the street in Brooklyn in the towers. In the actual train station, but across from the towers, from the bridge. And then basically I came out here. I was a police officer in Henderson for 13 years. I did community policing for about 6 years, teaching the DARE program, helping homeless people, doing all kinds of community outreach stuff, which I know you love doing in the community as well.
I do. Absolutely. Tell me about this though. So you've been here 20 years. When you first moved here, did you think that you were going to be living in a hotel room or did you know what you were getting into?
When I came out here, I'm 45 now. When I came out here, I was 19. And I really enjoyed the Strip, and I remember the Mandalay Bay and the hotels and the palm trees. My joke is that basically when we grew up, basically, at least for me my age, 90210 was a big thing, and basically Dylan McKay was living in a hotel, and I thought it'd be cool to live like in a hotel setting, driving a convertible Porsche. I just felt that lifestyle basically was like a fun place to be.
There you go.
To me, you live in New York, you probably live in LA, Vegas, Florida, So to me, I kind of fell in love with Vegas. I just thought it was like a sunny place. It was nice. No state tax, no city tax. And it just seemed like a nice place to live. That was at the age of 19.
Yeah.
But I never thought I'd be moving out until years later in general.
Okay. Let me ask you though. So that was your vision at 19. What's your life like now?
It's a lot different. I got 3 kids right now. It's a good question. I have 3 babies. I'm exhausted, always yawning. I got a 7-year-old Chloe, 5-year-old Kyla, and a 3-year-old that's going to be about 3 in 2 weeks.
Wow, you got your hands full there. Yeah, you got your hands full.
So I got a little zoo at the house.
Oh,
of 3
God.
3 little babies running around, screaming at each other. So yeah, I'm married for the last 10 years. My wife is Camellia. She's beautiful, wonderful, hardworking, and basically, I'm proud to be part of the Vegas community. And I'm proud to actually have 3 children. Some people kind of get upset with Vegas and the state. And to me, every state, every city has pros and cons. So the bottom line is, I think it's a great place to be, as if you associate with good people, right? In general, it doesn't matter what state or city that you're in. People say Vegas is no good, it's horrible, it's Sin City. There's sin basically in any city. You can find it. So
absolutely.
But I'm proud to basically be part of Vegas strong, and then I just think it's a great place to be. And especially things are getting more expensive in other states. Where else can you buy a home and live nicely or comfortable, especially in a city that's kind of new, new buildings, new homes. So I'm actually, I'm really glad that 20 years later that I can't believe I'm 45 and I can't believe it's 20 years later, but I'm here, I've done it, and I'm proud to still be here.
Do you think on going anywhere else?
At this point in time, I don't think so. I have some in-laws in California. My parents moved out here from New York, but basically I think this is going to be it. I don't really, anywhere in this town you could drive in 15, 20 minutes, maybe max 30 minutes if there's traffic, right?
I do a lot of driving, Dave. It's getting closer to 35, 40. All this California traffic.
Well, it depends, right? If you go from deep Henderson all the way to North Las Vegas, right, it could be almost 35, 40 minutes, right?
Yep, absolutely.
But for the most part, depending centrally, I just think it's a really convenient town. And like I said, I'm really glad to be part of Vegas and all these different nonprofits I deal with a lot as well, whether it's part of Las Vegas Legal Network or myself. I kind of always gravitate to helping people and nonprofits,
So my next question, that's actually going to lead us into the next question is, how did you get started with the Las Vegas Legal Network?
So basically, I retired about 6 years ago from policing. I was fortunate to basically retire a little bit earlier than normal. Most cops basically will work 20 years. So technically, I did 17 years total. I was able to retire. And basically, I wanted to do something where I still was going to help people. So actually, I used to be very big with the union, with the Henderson Police Officers Association. They referred me basically to the Nevada Association of Public Safety Officers, which basically had kind of a union legal delegate. And from there, basically referred me to a law firm that basically was helping police officers. Wow. My thought process was I could help cops. Basically, God forbid there's false allegations or an arrest that was made or something with police that I'd be able to help out. And so I went over to one law firm at first and then basically started doing like case management, client relations, kind of meeting people, and actually really became like kind of a little bit of crime prevention. I worked in a criminal defense law firm that basically people came in, they got arrested, and I was trying to help them through the justice system, even though I'm not an attorney. I basically helping them through the process and making them feel, more confident they can get through the justice system in order to basically come out on the other side to be a better person, and not to get rearrested again. My goal was to prevent recidivism and to make sure people would live nicer lifestyles, even though they made a mistake or, God forbid, a false allegation, that basically they were going to have the right representation.
Got it. So would you say that that's your why behind creating the Las Vegas Legal Network then?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll share one thing. Most police officers, when they become a police officer, let's say, like for me, I was 22. Officers always feel like in the future, like when you retire, what shall you do? So if you're a police officer, you can go get like accident investigation training, where like you can go work for an insurance agency when you retire. Or basically, the other thing would be is in New York City for NYPD, there was something called auto crime, where basically you learn about the cars, the VIN, like stolen parts and stuff like that.
Okay.
So a lot of people would want to go for that training. So when you retire, you again work for like an insurance company, right, for theft or
thinking 10 years, 10, 15 years.
Exactly.
Got it.
So the funny thing about me is that I feel that people that do community policing, when they retire, they should be working in a law firm, helping people just like what they did on the street. When people need help, a lawyer is the one that's going to go to court and fight the legal battle, but someone who's in between the lawyer and basically the attorney is someone like client relations, case management, and that's a way that they could actually use their background experience from being a police officer or through the justice system, kind of explaining how things go, not giving specific legal advice, but just helping them along. And most people want to be have their hand basically held through the justice system, whether it's an accident or being arrested or false allegations, or even if someone passes away, probate. So people want someone in between, and the lawyers are always so busy. One of the problems they always say is communication. Yeah, lawyer never calls me back. The lawyer, so having a liaison in between, you and the attorney, I personally think it's a great help to the attorneys, and then it's a great help to the client. People really appreciate it by having someone kind of representing them, their interest, even if it's just returning the phone call. In general.
Got it. So do you think by doing what you're doing now, you help people more than an attorney would?
So I think that the attorney, specifically is getting more detailed into the legal process if it's an accident or if they're arrested, right? They're negotiating with the district attorney and they're working on the case. So personally, I think that the attorney's job is very, very important because they're a licensed attorney going into court and fighting the legal battle. And then myself basically being the liaison. I think both are so important, the legal matter and the liaison matter, basically just to, like I said, to be helping the client. A lot of times it's just reassuring them that they're going to get through the process. People are scared, upset. I even had a young child, young kid, 17 years of age. Basically, he was stopped for some marijuana. And the police officer tried to attempt to make him an informant. And a lot of times, there's no like specific policy as long as you're like an adult. And if you want to work with the police, you can. He was very upset. I told the guy, basically, we'll help you out. You have an attorney. We'll work with you. We'll help you. And actually that night he took his life because he was so scared about working with the police. And what happens is a lot of times talking to the police, especially during if you're going through crisis or your young age, the cop is holding on to your case unless you basically come through with buying other drugs from other people. Yeah. Now, for the police, right, it's great you want to get the drugs off the street, but if you're the person who's got a case being held over their head, unless they don't provide other sales of purchasing drugs, there's a lot of stress with that, right? Now I got to go to someone's house, go buy drugs. I'm working with the police like a movie. So actually he took his life. And, after that day, it was kind of a first time that happened to me. I reassure everybody, like there's no reason to take your life. There's, if you're going through any type of legal case, like the attorneys, myself, will be able to get you through the situation. So I'm very big with reassuring, even if the person does not look like they're in like a mental crisis. But anytime that you go through, if you get into an accident, you're injured, anything that happens to you, arrested, you're going through a different crisis, you know,
Correct.
basically.
It's a mental crisis, right? So if it's okay with you, we'll go ahead and share the suicide hotline, right?
Yeah.
So people have that because you never know. You never know who the last person is that you speak to, right? But going back to the fear, right? So police officers right now, you know, in the world that we live in, they're terrified themselves, right? They're terrified themselves of doing their job.
You know, even myself, you know, when I had some situations, and there's no one's perfect, and I'm not a perfect person. But when I was a police officer, I had some few situations of like the camera not going on, the audio device, not intentionally, right? And it wasn't even dealing with like a person. It could have been like another officer or something. And then they checked that the audio device wasn't on. And I thought it was on, you know, and you would get administrative, basically maybe a little bit of a reprimand. You don't want to go out and be Batman. You don't want to go out and be Superman, basically, if you're going to get reprimanded, discipline, because you're afraid that you're not going to get your future police pension. So the truth is, police officers, and some police officers may disagree with me, but a lot of police officers don't want to work as hard these days. You got a camera on you all day, which is great for the public, no problem. And most police officers actually probably like the camera at this point in time, because it's basically, if you make an allegation, you have the camera to say, hey, that's not true. Look at the camera. But, you know, having a camera, imagine all day long, basically you got a camera on you, on your chest. You go to the bathroom, you go to eat. You know, you call your wife, you call your kid, right? Like I said, to me, I think that it's an extra stress for police officers. Now, it's different now because I grew up at a time where there was no camera. If you're a brand new officer, all you know is the camera. So it's a different mentality. But you know, nobody wants to be watched all day long. I don't care who you are.
No.
You know, even if you're on the up and up and you're the perfect person in the world. But like I said, it's a reality for police officers. It is a crazy time right now in general. You know, most people are not pro-police. So it's a difficult job. People, you know, they're having a hard time basically finding police officers to take the job.
I see the billboards all the time, whether it's Metro, North Las Vegas, they're looking for police officers. But I think people are just so scared as well. It's
a difficult job, and I think at this point in time, a lot of people just don't want that. And, you know, in other states, basically, the pay is actually much less. It's very, very low in a lot of states. It happens to be in this state. It is higher than most states, and that's one of the reasons why I came out here, because Vegas Metro and Henderson, North Las Vegas, were paying higher money, plus there was no state tax and city tax, so that you were able to live a better lifestyle here as a police officer.
So you came from New York out to Las Vegas with the intention with the job lined up already.
Yeah, basically I got called for Metro Police in Henderson. I chose Henderson a little bit because I felt that they were wearing all blue. I was common to wear NYPD was all blue. So to me, it was like I was...
easy transition.
It was like per diem in the desert, you know, like a New York City cop in the desert wearing all blue. So to me, I felt I had 1 year leave of absence and from New York City. And I felt I would come out here if it didn't work out. I had to go through another police academy. And if it didn't work out, I can go back. And if not, I would stay. And after a year, I basically decided it was the right move. And you know, I'm glad that I stayed. Good.
Well, we're happy to have you here in Vegas. Share with me, David, why do you think that it's important for people to have an attorney to represent them in any type of case?
You know, it comes back. It's funny. When I was a police officer in NYPD, they're very pro-lawyer. So, like, if you got into a shooting or something happened, you always had a union delegate and you always had a lawyer. And, like, you didn't talk to anybody. And it was like, and again, not because you did anything wrong. It was just a protocol. You always had a lawyer, always had a union delegate. So I've been trained since the age of 22 that you always get a lawyer. You always get a union delegate. So to me, it's the same thing. You never know when there's a false allegation. You don't know if there's people that are biased. You don't know if people, hate cops in general. But having representation, someone to basically be by your side, to be a little bit of that bodyguard is really important. So having a lawyer by your side that knows the law, that knows the Nevada revised statutes, that knows about the protection. When I was a police officer, it was a police bill of rights. And now basically it's your rights, basically civil rights, right? Or basically if you get accident or injured, right? There's the laws, people don't know about it. So by having a lawyer that knows the law, that studied it, basically is a way of protecting you by knowledge and education. And also by them making motions to help and protect you. And there's certain things that they know that you don't know. Like if you got arrested, like it's possible that you can just basically be bailed out. They can make a motion to basically get you removed from jail, or basically you could use a bail bondsman. But the lawyer knows what's best depending upon if you get arrested for what type of case, or if it's an accident. You have only up to 2 years to basically follow through. Or if you don't go for treatment for an accident, basically then the case is not a good case.
Yeah.
So the lawyer basically is educating somebody, not making this stuff up, educating you of like, okay, you're injured, then you need to go for treatment. But you can't wait a year and a half from now and then say go for treatment, because it's too late. the insurance companies are not going to basically say, oh, that happened from a year and a half ago. You must have got involved in something else. So the bottom line is you want a lawyer by your side to protect you, whether it's the educational component or by them taking action, by helping you and leading you through the justice system, whether being arrested or accident, probate, civil law, family law, divorces, child custody, all these things. You need someone by your side that is knowledgeable about the law.
Got it. With that, I do want to ask, right now, from my understanding, and again, I'm a regular driver, I'm on the road all the time, right? If I were to get in an accident, what steps do I need to take? What do I need to do if nobody's if it's just a bumper to bumper accident, let's say?
It's interesting because a lot of people don't think they need to call the police. I mean, if you're injured, you're not feeling well, the problem is you really always want to call the police. And I had the situation last night. I got a phone call at midnight. Someone called, said I got into an accident. They needed some help.
So you're taking calls at midnight, David?
At midnight.
Do you sleep?
I try through the night, but the kids, I'm making sure they're breathing, they make sure that what bed they're in and moving people around.
Do they sleepwalk? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, they're like moving. I'm like, who's this?
So you just pick up phone calls at midnight then?
Yeah, so it was actually 12:30 in the morning, and basically it was a friend that called and said, look, I just got into an accident. I said, what happened? Did you call the police? They said, no. I said, you need to call the police. So what happens is, there's a real situation that happened yesterday, is that they didn't call the police. They didn't listen to me. So I said, take the information, write the name, take pictures of the car, take video. Even though they're shooken up, you have to do a little bit of investigation yourself. Especially if you're not going to call the police to come out there. So what happens is they didn't really do that much work. But the other person said, oh, you know what? It's my bad. I'm at fault.
Okay.
But the problem is later today, the next day, they call the insurance company. Oh, it was her fault. It wasn't my fault. It was their fault, right? So what happens is you need the police officers to look at the accident scene, to document it. And these days, if a police officer gives the other person a ticket, that means that basically they're at fault. They're what they call V1, vehicle 1. And the V2 would be the other person who basically is like the victim. But you need that police report to show that other person is V1. Now, I don't want anyone to get into an accident, but if they do, you want to make sure that other person's V1 and that I'm V2, legitimately, in order for you basically to have an insurance claim, especially if you're injured, So, again, let's just say accident, whether injury or no injury, pictures, driver's license, insurance, exchanging it. Some people jump seats in Vegas, right? Like, oh, it's my mom. Let me put her in the driver's seat. We have to be careful with that. And if the police officer doesn't see what's going on, he gets there, 15, 20 minutes later. He doesn't know what took place.
Who was driving the vehicle at that point?
So you want to make sure that basically that we take the investigative role, which most people don't know how to do. They're not trained police officers.
No, but I think that it's also the shock of like, oh my God, I just got into an accident, right? And I'll tell you this, it happened to me. I rear-ended somebody, right? And the thing is, we talked about it. We decided to call the cops, but at the end of the day, the cops didn't show up because neither one of us was hurt. I literally just let go of the gas and like my car just, So I was like, well, we should call the cops though. Like, should we not?
Well, the funny thing about it is that with Metro, they're very busy, which is bad to say because in Henderson, it's a smaller town. They would come out no matter what. I mean, technically not that you want to fit, but how do you know how you're going to feel an hour from now, right?
Correct.
So maybe your back doesn't feel right, at that moment. Maybe you feel something. I mean, you want the police to come out. I mean, sad to say these days, you have to sell the police to come out because with Metro, they weren't responding for a while. Then they were.
Yeah, that's what my understanding was, that unless someone is seriously injured, Metro's not going to come out.
It changed back. They'll come out now, but I do believe you have to sell why the police need to come out. Like you're blocking the intersections, a dangerous condition. There's oil on the floor. Basically, I'm not feeling well. I mean, you don't have to lie. If you say you're not feeling well, is common if you just got into an accident, right? So the bottom line is you have to sell, and there's a word in the police world called articulate. That you have to articulate like what took place, right? The person went through a red light. I believe that they're drinking. Maybe they're under the influence. I smell an unknown alcohol beverage on their breath. I see beer in the car. I mean, if these are legitimate things that you're seeing.
Correct.
But you have to sell the police to basically come out these days. It is what it is. And like I said, I laugh sometimes when I say some things that if another police officer is listening, that's not true. He's wrong. I was a cop for 17 years. I mean, I was NYPD. I was out here in Henderson as well. I mean, I'm saying legitimate things in general. Sad to say that you have to articulate and sell basically 911 why they should come out. Because sometimes you'd be on the phone with the non-emergency line with Metro. You could be on the phone for 45 minutes. And the problem is, is that if they don't come out and they don't basically show the accident scene, then your insurance will go up. You could wind up basically being looked at as fault when really it was the other person.
Okay.
And that's why the police coming out and documenting is so important, because the insurance companies are going to believe the police officer. They're not going to believe the other person that's there.
That makes sense.
Because they're a trained, educated, I was going to say licensed, but
officer.
Post-certified officer coming out trained to basically look at an accident scene, to make a judgment call and to do that police report, to make V1 and V2 and to give a citation to somebody. So again, you have to call the police. You have to document it. Luckily these days we have our phones, iPhones.
Yeah.
Androids, photos, video. If someone's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," sometimes I actually say if you're able to take your phone and basically have it out and just videotape, what's going on, and just have like kind of a little bit of a live feed
going
of what's taking place. And then if she's like, "I'm so sorry, it's my fault, I did this," but later on the next day, it's like it's never their fault.
That makes sense. No, absolutely. I get that. I absolutely understand that. So at what instance then, David, do you think that someone should seek legal representation? Like what defines that?
I think there's nothing, it doesn't hurt at any particular time to basically call, whether it's an attorney that you basically have or the Las Vegas legal network that I'm a part of. You could always call and say, look, here's my situation. Do I need an attorney? Do I not need an attorney? Like run it by. And I will share one thing that's kind of interesting. In Vegas, and I think all over, there's a lot of people that are driving with no insurance. Or they'll buy insurance for 1 month to have the proof to show a police officer, but after that 1 month's up, basically they don't have insurance. So what happens is if the person doesn't have insurance, basically if you don't have specific insurance, like it's called underinsured motorist insurance.
Underinsured and
uninsured motorist. If you don't have that for your own policy, then you'll wind up
paying
any medical bills because you don't have insurance. So you have to be really careful because you want that other person to get a ticket if they don't have insurance. That handles the criminal side of things. But the civil side is that you need to make sure that you have proper insurance. And a lot of people should have a proper evaluation of their insurance to make sure that basically they have the right insurance. God forbid the other person's a hit and run and the other person doesn't have the right insurance, or they don't have insurance that's enough to going to cover your injuries. You know what I'm saying?
So what you're saying then is everyone should have the uninsured motorist protection. Because if the person that hits you or the person you hit doesn't have any insurance, I would be liable for all of those expenses.
The medical bills.
All the medical bills if I don't have that uninsured motorist protection.
Correct. There's also something called MedPay. Now, when I first came out to Vegas, I had no clue what MedPay was.
I've lived here my entire life, and I don't even know what that is.
So when I went to my insurance agent, I said, "Look, I called Geico, I called these different places.
Okay,
I think insurance is cheap if I move." They said, "Well, let me see your policy."
Uh-oh.
Now remember, when they look at your policies, they have to look at apples versus apples, right?
Yes, they do.
They said, "Do you have your own insurance?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, you don't need this MedPay thing." I'm like, "What's MedPay?" Well, you have insurance, right? You don't need it. MedPay is extra money that they pay out for medical bills. If you have any type of injury, whether
people,
you have
you want to
insurance or
listen
not.
to this. This is free money in essence.
So it's free money basically specifically to pay for any type of injury.
Got it.
So let's just say that you had $10,000 MedPay and you could actually get different amounts. You get into an accident, you're injured, they would cut a check for $10,000 for MedPay directly to you to help pay for medical bills. A lot of people don't have MedPay. It's kind of like the rental insurance.
Okay.
Like, do you have car rental insurance on your policy?
Yes, I do.
A lot of people don't. They don't have like 30 days car rental. So car rental is like important for 30 days.
Okay.
And then basically MedPay is important as well. And you could do different amounts.
Okay.
So God forbid, like especially like let's just say you lost your job and you don't have medical benefits, or you don't have Medicaid and Medicare. You want to get the MedPay, God forbid. And that's the problem with insurance, right? You're paying for the what if.
Yeah.
You're paying for what if I get into an accident, and now you're paying for the what if the other person doesn't have, insurance. So, I mean, it gets expensive. So there's always that like risk versus reward. How much insurance do I want? God forbid something happens, and it may never happen. So you're paying insurance for all these years, but you just don't know until you need it.
So what happens, let's say, Dave, I get in an accident, right? And I don't have the uninsured motorist protection. I'm the one that gets hit, and this individual doesn't have any insurance whatsoever. Am I out of luck? Do I need to have an attorney there? What's going to happen at that point?
So it's interesting. So you need an attorney more specifically because the only good thing about it may be is if the person has assets. So let's just say Donald Trump. Donald Trump hits you. Basically, he has some assets, so you can go after him personally.
Perfect.
But if he doesn't have any assets, doesn't have a job, is collecting unemployment, what are you going after? He has nothing.
Where are you, Donald Trump?
So, one of the things they say, which is like horrible to say, the person that hits you in the future, it's like the lottery. If the guy has $1 million policy, you're okay.
I'm covered.
If he's got 25,000, 50,000, or 100,000, 300,000, right? Because these days medical bills gets expensive. You could do an MRI, you could do some shots. I mean, $100,000 medical bills could be one day at the hospital. So it's kind of like the luck of the draw of who's going to hit you, which is sad.
Okay.
I'm thinking we need a bumper sticker that says, like, if you hit me, please have proper insurance. Please have $1 million policy.
Please refrain from hitting me unless you have a policy.
A decent policy of 100,000 plus.
More, yeah.
It's, we laugh about it, but it's a sad situation because
It's
a
true.
lot of people basically are screwed by the, let's say, justice system. They're screwed in life, I guess, because
They're just not prepared. They're
Yeah.
just not prepared for it. So what happens? Let's say, David, I get hit. And these people get it, they get out of their car and they run and they leave. And this vehicle is like not registered to anybody. What happens to me then?
So it's interesting. So technically, and I've dealt over the last, it's been about almost 7 years working with 2 different law firms. If someone runs, it actually, in some regards, well, there's pros and cons of how you could look at it.
Well, yeah.
If someone runs, not that I'm like telling people to go run from the police, right?
Don't run from the police. People don't mind.
And they're under the influence, and technically the police officer, unless they get caught, let's say they don't catch them for the next day, they can't get them for the DUI, but they can get them for, let's just say, leaving the scene, follow too closely, duty to report. These different misdemeanor violations. But let's just say that you were DUI, you had 2 DUIs, misdemeanors, and the third DUI is a felony. So technically the person is lucky to get away if they don't get caught by the police, right?
Okay.
But their car is going to be towed. There'll be a police hold. It's going to cost money to get your car. You'll get a bunch of tickets. You have to go to court. So, I mean, there's different things that take place, but a lot of people do run. So if they do run and there's no insurance, again, you're screwed because basically they don't have insurance. Again, unless they have assets to go after, they could do, like lawyers can do an asset search to see whether or not they have assets. Just like I got a phone call today. It's kind of interesting. Not that it deals with cars. There was since you're involved also with real estate, basically, that someone had a flooded one of the high-rise condos, and there wasn't a certain insurance. So what happens? The person has a lot of money because they're on the penthouse. So what happens if insurance doesn't cover it? Then you can go after them and sue them, but they have money because they're on the penthouse. Right? So again, a lawyer can do something called an asset search to see if they have assets, and then whether or not it's worth a lawyer for their time to go after them. And a lot of times it's called contingency. Contingency, whether they win. Some lawyers will take cases contingency whether they win to get paid. And if it's criminal cases, normally they're going to want money up front. And a lot of people don't know that. Like certain lawyers,
there's a retainer. There's a retainer fee, right?
It could be a retainer fee. It could be both. It could be a hybrid. It could be basically pay some money and a percentage. It could be different things. So the bottom line is that's why having certain lawyers, specific lawyers, and that's where the legal network comes into play, where we're trying to find the right lawyers for the right people and matching them.
Okay.
Because some lawyers will work with you with $500 down. Some will work with no money down if it's an accident case.
Yeah, I know. I've seen some commercials where no money out of pocket unless we win the case.
Exactly. That doesn't work for criminal cases, but for accident cases, it's a very common phrase. Like we get paid when you win, but we don't take more than you do as well. There are a lot of key phrases like that. So that's why we at the Las Vegas Legal Network, the goal is to match the client specifically with an attorney. And one thing I actually feel bad about is like I get a lot of phone calls from a lot of people, a lot of people that are homeless or they're just low income. I feel bad to say, I'm sorry, like we can't help you. So I try to, like, if one law firm doesn't basically accept them, I'll say, hey, let me check with 2-3 other law firms to see if they're willing to help you.
Yeah.
So through the network, I'm asking people to do a little bit of like pro bono, which is free. Some will provide free traffic ticket representation. Some will do free simple wills. Some will do free mobile notary. So I'm getting some lawyers to do free things. We have some lawyers that will do a record seal where they'll give like a do-it-yourself record seal kit if you want to seal your record. So there's things that are basically that the Las Vegas Legal Network has that are free things that are given out by a licensed attorney, and that's why we have the whole network of different lawyers. And sometimes we have several in each category. And like I said, everyone's a little bit different. Some people don't do custody; they'll just do divorces, even though you're a family law attorney.
But
so imagine
it just gets messy.
So the thing with it is, it can take you several days to find the right lawyer. So when you call me, you're like, Dave, someone passed away. They have assets. They have property. You know what? I have 2 or 3 probate attorneys. Let me see who can help you out. And then if you have no money, you may not be able to pay. And then basically when the probate gets finished, the lawyer can get paid. But it doesn't always work that way. So some of the lawyers that I work with are willing to work in that regards because to me, they're helping people, right? They're paying it forward. They're going to get paid later. So they're paying it forward in the beginning. They'll get paid later. They're helping somebody. I feel good at night knowing that I'm actually helping people in a different way by getting them to the right attorney. Again, I'm not an attorney. I'm basically, the founder and the director of client relations, but I'm the liaison, making sure that people are taken care of. And if a lawyer does not want to accept the case, then I'm going to try to find them another lawyer that will.
So I want to make sure I'm understanding correctly, right? So I get hit by someone.
Got it.
Right. I got to call the cops. Number one, I got to call the cops because I need that documented that it was their fault. Right. And then where do you come in? Where do I call you?
So if you call at this point in time, if you call 1-844-LAWYERS, which is actually a nationwide toll-free number on the screen
right
there.
Over here.
You call that number, technically myself or an answering service, whether it's 4 or 5 in the morning, if I don't pick up the phone at 5 a.m., they'll take the information. What's going on?
I'm going to go knock on your door, Dave, and be like, excuse me, you said that
I want you to test it at 5 a.m. to see if I pick up.
5 a.m.
So the bottom line is that you call the number and basically just say whatever your situation. I need an attorney. This is what's going on. I got an accident. I'm injured. I need some help. I will evaluate the situation and basically say, wait, let me get you in touch with this attorney. And I'll do a 3-way phone call, or I'll basically even do a hot transfer to an attorney, depending if it's confidentiality wise. If the person's like, look, I don't want to talk with you because you're the director of client relations. I only want to talk to the attorney. Let's say it's a major case. Some people may say that. Not a problem. I'll do a hot transfer. I get disconnected. It's confidential between the attorney and basically the client. So I'm always basically just in the middle connecting people. But like I said, some attorneys will go to someone's house. Some attorneys won't, in general. So the bottom line is, depending upon the situation, they'll be in the hospital. I could have an attorney go to the hospital. Some people are in jail. Some attorneys, they won't go to the jail unless they're a signed client. I disagree with that. If you want to get a client and you want to help them, go down to the jail. You should
go get the signature yourself.
Meet with them and basically see, because sometimes what happens is they're busy, right? They can't keep going to the jail. So I understand that perspective from an attorney. But the bottom line is, if you're trying to help people and you're trying to get the case and you want to sign up a client, yes, there's a business aspect to it. Go meet them at the jail and basically, try to see if what they need. If it's financial, then maybe there's friends or family or stuff like that in general. But the bottom line is, like I said, I try to make those things happen. And for some reason, I always feel bad for people and I want to help them. And I just don't want to leave people hanging. And I want to basically reach out and basically help people. So I'm doing that in the middle. I'm making that connection to the right person at the right time. Got
it. So you don't do just parking tickets or car accidents. You do also like family and limited family law.
So I have actually 3 family law attorneys that basically work with the network right now.
Okay.
And again, some will want, to be paid in full. Some are willing to get $500 down. They're good lawyers. Everyone's a little bit different. Maybe some lawyers are a little bit hungrier, but I'm only going to want like lawyers that really want to work and make a difference to help people that are referred in or basically they're calling in. I want to get them the right attorney. I want the attorney to basically call them back and to be on top of their game. And that's where when it comes through the legal network, I'm going to be behind the scenes to make sure that customer service, that legendary customer service, just like if it's the Ritz-Carlton, to make sure that happens. And by the way, a lot of times we send, whether it's Uber or Lyft or a limo to pick people up and transport them. I mean, these days in Vegas, it's cheaper sometimes to actually send a limo to pick someone up than it is at an Uber. So sometimes I have limos and cars coming at different times, picking people up for transportation because I want to take action right away. I don't want to wait for, I'll come in next week, right? Because they're not going to go see the doctor. They're not going to take care of it. They're going to go into warrant. They're not going to take care of whatever the situation may be. So, but we are basically handling all practices of law. And again, it is a network of basically different attorneys in different practices. And every person, every client is going to be meeting at their prospective office. So whatever lawyer they're going to be meeting with, they're going to meet at their office, or the lawyer will meet with them at their home. We have an office basically downtown on 4th Street, but most of the times the people are not meeting there. They're going to meet at the specific law office.
Got it.
But it is actually being set up where if a lawyer needs to meet someone at the Las Vegas Legal Network, they need space.
They can meet them there.
They can meet them on 4th Street as well, which we're 400 South 4th Street, Suite 500. We're across the street from the courthouse.
Awesome.
So people can meet there as well, which is convenient. And there's parking there, coffee, basically it's a beautiful building that we basically have that we're fortunate to be in. So again, it is accessible to other lawyers that basically want to use the network.
So for other attorneys out there that want to be part of the Las Vegas Legal Network, what exactly do they go through? Do they have to apply with you? What sort of screening process do you go through to make sure that these are attorneys that are worth people's time, that are going to be taking care of the people that you send to them? What sort of screening per se do you do on the, for the attorneys that are in your network?
So there's always these 3 R's that I always talk about, which is reviews, results, and reputation.
Okay.
So basically, if someone wants to be part of the network, which we do have phone calls from different lawyers coming in, we'll look at reviews online. We'll read through all the reviews, every review. Even, I'm not sure if you know, but on Yelp, some reviews are basically hidden behind. They're like not considered like a real review unless they're like a real Yelper. So we look at the Better Business Bureau. We'll look at different things like Avo. We'll look at basically the Better Business Bureau, different things like that in general. And we're going to look for all these reviews and to see if there's a trend of really good customer service and good legal work that they're providing. With that basically being said, we'll do an interview process. And these days, I'm getting actually more retired police officers like myself that want to be part of the legal network to do client relations or to do something called, we could talk about accident mobile response, helping people. And then basically from there, we're interviewing them to see whether or not they should be part of it. And then, the biggest thing with it is that can I get in touch with them, right? Like if it's 4:00 in the morning, like, can you call me back? Especially if you're like a criminal defense attorney, or if you're basically a personal injury, will you go to someone's house? Will you be able to provide some free pro bono services to help some of our clients in general? So we're basically taking all that, the totality, and deciding whether or not they should be part of the network. And then we're going to watch to see how they perform and what other clients say. And if there's any issues, we'll take them off the network. And it doesn't cost any money for basically an attorney to be part of the network in general. The bottom line is as long as they basically pass the reviews, the results, and reputation, then basically we'll allow them to be part of the network. And basically we'll start basically sending them, potential clients that need help.
Got it. So why is it more beneficial to call, for example, the 844 lawyers number as opposed to an attorney directly?
So perfect thing is, I personally believe by me being a retired police officer and the other police officers that we're hiring at the legal network, that we basically know as police officers, like good people, bad people, and so on. And we can see through different people. And so we basically look through those reviews and the results, and we're doing the interviews of these different lawyers. And it would spend you weeks and months to really know whether or not the person's a good lawyer that does good legal work in general. So you could do research online. Doesn't mean that it's totally legitimate, right? Like there's fake reviews that are basically out there. There's all kinds of positive stuff that may be out there in general that maybe not be completely legitimate in general, because there's a lot of things that you can pay to play marketing in general. So the bottom line is that we're going to make sure that you have the right person. And the problem with it is that if you do a lot of research, it could take you a day, 2 days, or a week just to decipher what lawyer is good, what lawyer is bad. And believe it or not, I bet you right now, if we took out a phone, we should do this next time, call several lawyers. How long does it take to get a lawyer on the phone? If you call law office, some people won't even call you back.
As someone that I've worked in different legal law for, I can't speak anymore. Different law offices. Yeah. You go through the receptionist and then, okay, well, let me see if your case manager is available. And if the case manager is available, then they take the call. If not, well, all right, I'm going to take a message now. And then the attorney will call you. But then it's usually the legal assistant that calls back. So I know I agree with you 100%.
One of the things we do is we do a little bit of secret shopping. And one of the firms that basically we work with, basically we did like a secret shop. We'll call it 8:30 at night on a Sunday.
Wow.
And basically they tried to do like a hot transfer to the lawyer. The lawyers didn't pick up. No one picked up. The person never got a phone call back the whole week. So basically on Thursday, I was like, hey, did that person call? And they said, oh, yeah, they called. And then all of a sudden they started calling the person on Thursday. So the bottom line is they didn't follow through. Now, maybe that went through the cracks. But the problem is it's a problem. So I'm going to have to address that situation. Like, look, you need to be on top of your game. But most of the lawyers I can text, they're more direct in general. Well, I'll bring these issues up. Sometimes the firms are getting a little bit bigger, and they have this other staff that basically are handling the phone calls because they're busy attorneys, which is fine. But I'll bring up these different issues. Like, look, I secret shopped the call at 8:30. No one even got a phone call back. He had a DUI. And especially, look, a lot of times the lawyer, even though they're trying to help, it's part of a business, right?
Yeah.
They should want to sign people up, right?
Correct.
So, but if they don't have time, then I can't have them part of the network. I mean, I want people that are going to be available and call people back right away. And that, by the way, was a secret shopper call to someone that I worked, a network that a lawyer that we worked with, but they called the number direct. So if they called me, right, I'm texting the attorney, I'm texting the case managers. I'm like, hey, a lawyer needs to meet with them right away. A lawyer needs to go out to the house. They're injured. They need to go out there tonight. And then if they say, no, we're not going to go out, I'm like, okay, then I'm going to have to give it to somebody else. Then we'll take them off the network. So I want to be able to provide, great lawyers, licensed attorneys, basically, that are going out, that are really going to help people, kind of like in the police emergency. Like, that's how I want to operate. I mean, in some regards, the Las Vegas legal know the colors are red. We have red going on because it's an emergency. It's a crisis that's going on, a legal crisis. and it's a crisis that someone's going through for their family, right? Think about it. If you got into an accident, you're injured, your car is destroyed, you don't have a car. You're in a family, a home of just one vehicle. You need a car, you need a rental car, right?
Correct.
And people don't know. A lot of people just don't know how to call a rental car company. They don't know how to get one. They don't know what to do. They may need a deposit. They may need a real credit card, not like a Chime card, or something like that, because times are changing, right? Like enterprises won't accept like a Chime card. So there's different things that you need to be guided what to do. Sometimes we have to wait for basically the insurance company when it's an accident to say, hey, my party is at fault, and we'll take responsibility and we'll set up a car for them. So there's a lot of different things that take place. If you've never been in an accident, how would you know?
Correct. No, you're right. So I want to make sure I'm touching base and understanding. So you do civil law, right? Civil, criminal, family, immigration.
Correct.
What else do we do?
Criminal, personal injury, accidents, wrongful death, probate. We said family law, any type of child cases, divorce, business, contract, and mass torts, which is these cases that are like, not sure if you know about the mesh, like if you have like a hernia mesh case, or these talcum powder cases with cancer. I mean, all these like the medicine type of things, the mass tort cases, which is interesting because this weekend there's a mass tort convention in town. So those things, like basically medicine that's getting people sick. So which is horrible. A lot of these things get approved, but they're hurting people as well. And sometimes people get like kind of collateral damage when it comes to like medicine that basically people are using, and then later on it's causing effects to people.
What about workers' comp?
Workers' comp as well for personal injury. That's a big deal. Most people are scared with workers' compensation because they're working for some place and they don't want to like lose their job. They don't want to like make a claim. So the bottom line is like they're in a weird situation because they feel funny, with making a claim. But the truth is, if you're injured, you got to make that claim.
So what happens if someone has an accident at work, right, and they get fired?
So we also, one thing, I have an employment law attorney as well. We actually have two.
Okay.
But basically, if they get fired, then they need representation. There's the labor board, labor commission. They can make a complaint through there as well. Most people these days, they're trying to be careful if you're a business, just not to get rid of people because they're afraid of lawsuits. But on a whole, look, you may need representation. Some people make mistakes of letting people go. And the biggest thing is that if you're injured, you need to go ahead and at least document it. Doesn't mean that you need to make a whole major lawsuit for it. Right? We're not going to sue the whole company, but at least document. Normally, I remember when I was a police officer, I think it was a blue form or whatever form it may be. If you basically injured, fill out the workers' compensation form. You can go for treatment a lot of places, and normally there's like one major place in town that people go to. I think it's called like Concentra, and they go for workers' comp cases and they can get treatment and feel better. And if you don't feel better and there's really a severe injury, that's where it may take play to basically having the right attorney. We do have workers' compensation, personal injury attorneys as well to basically help out. But people are scared. They're not knowledgeable. They're not educated. Just like simple things of calling the police when you have a car accident. Could you imagine you get hurt at work? You don't want to lose your job.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, Dave, I know that you're taking phone calls at 5 a.m., 2 a.m., midnight, right? Do you also go out to accident scenes to be there in person to kind of help, or is it just phone calls?
The legal network base has been around for about maybe 7 or 8 months right now. One of the things we're going to start right now is something called Accident Mobile Response, where we're going to have retired police officers that if someone calls basically the legal network and says, look, we would like someone to come out, having basically a retired police officer that's been trained for doing accident cases to go out just to be the liaison, not giving legal advice until an attorney basically can either get there or get them on the phone. Sometimes maybe that the client relations, the retired police officer from the legal network basically goes out. Maybe the liaison basically is going to do FaceTime, with the lawyer on the scene. But at least someone's going out, a warm body from the legal network to basically be out there.
Would it be the same 844 lawyers number?
Yeah, so 844 lawyers would call.
Okay.
And they would say, you know what, I need a lawyer. I need some help. I could, especially these days, up in Sun City, in Anthem and Sun City, Summerlin, there's a lot of elderly people. And if they need any help whatsoever, I want to basically have the legal network provide kind of extra free services to help people.
Got it.
Again, we're not going out to accident scenes just, on the whim. If you're calling the legal network.
That you need someone there.
And you need some help, we have some children, you need a ride or transportation, and you lead the legal network to basically help out. We're going to have people to do the accident mobile response. We're also doing something called homeless mobile response, helping homeless people get into like housing. There's a new program called Operation Home where we want to basically help people not get arrested for trespassing and for housing issues. So we're going to have a homeless mobile response. Again, retired police officers going out like as client relations and basically going out to try to help people, get off the street if they need specific legal help.
Okay.
So I'm trying to do things more of the mobile response, which is kind of like the whole police thing.
Yeah.
Even though we're not police officers any longer, we still basically are educated what to do to basically help people. And then we're going to have the right resources to basically help people as well. So I'm kind of excited about both mobile responses. And like I said, I'm recruiting right now retired police officers to basically help people at time of needs, because we have that community outreach.
Someone that does that part for you.
Correct. Yeah.
So what does it take for a retired police officer to join your Las Vegas Legal Network for this accident mobile response service?
So basically, we're looking for someone that actually, a lot of times if they're retired motor officers, that involved in accidents, that have that accident investigation skill. Some of them also are private investigators as well, that are become licensed private investigators or patrolmen. It'd be great to have them have licensing as well, and we do have 2 right now basically that can do that as well, because they can go out and do like an accident investigation. They can take photographs, they can do video, they can even get statements from people. Right, if the police aren't there, at least I can have, hey, do you mind writing a quick statement of what happened with a clipboard? Just like when the person was a police officer on the street, we did the same thing. So we're trying to get just a little bit more interactive to basically help our clients basically make sure that they are protected, that they're represented, and then basically that the location, in some regards, if the police don't get there, like I said last night, the police didn't get to this person's, I think they felt funny calling the police. But if we had the accident mobile response come out and they did a little bit of investigation, and maybe it was an audio recording saying, you know what, I feel so bad, I caused the accident, it was the other party, that would have helped, basically our client that called in. So my biggest thing is to get people, make sure that they get protected, to make sure they basically get through the justice system. And when I say get through the justice system, it's not just arrested, right? Accident, probate, it's all through the justice system. So we want to help people get through the justice system no matter what legal case they have. And that's why I think it's important for people to be calling the Las Vegas Legal Network instead of calling a specific attorney, because things always change. We've had recently a few attorneys passed away in town, and basically that were really good attorneys. One was really good for criminal defense. One was really good for personal injury. So there's other attorneys that are like up and rising in general. And basically, I and myself and others, basically part of the legal network, we're keeping tabs on who good attorneys are to basically get them the proper help. And especially the customer service. I want people, the lawyers need to be empathetic, to whatever the situation may be. If you're not going to care about the client, I'm not sending you people to help. If you're not going to truly help and not have that passion to help people, you could be a lawyer, but not have that passion.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But we want to make sure people have the passion to basically help people.
Got it. Now, you mentioned that you have an office as well, right, David?
Correct.
So remind me again, what was that address?
So it's 400 South 4th Street, Suite 500, 5th floor, block from the courthouse, tons of parking underneath. And then normally we're doing things by appointments, or we even have client relations basically go to people's homes, or the lawyers that are part of the network will go out themselves one-on-one. Just depends upon the situation. Again, anyone that's client relations or anyone part of the legal network is not giving any legal advice whatsoever. They're just taking information, providing it. Maybe be like, okay, you need to call your insurance company, right? Like, or the lawyer basically would probably do that. Or you shouldn't speak with anybody until you speak to your attorney.
Got it.
Or, it's okay, we're going to get you through it. A lot of it is just being by their side, helping them. And believe it or not, people get upset. They have children, right? They're crying. It's their only car. How they're going to get to work tomorrow, right? So we're going to basically try to help people in different ways. And I work with a lot of nonprofits like Project for Humanity, who basically is in Vegas and Sahara. And basically they have bus passes for people. They have things for kids if you need car seats. There's a lot of nonprofits that are basically giving things to help people when they're in any type of crisis. Even if they're in an accident, doesn't matter who you are, what income you are. Basically, there are nonprofits that help people, just like United Way, which I'm not sure if you know. It's 211 is the number for United Way, which is a referral sources, referral agency as well to basically help people. And we're part of that as well to basically helping people.
Awesome. So what are your regular hours of operation at the office then?
Basically, it's 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, but we're basically 24/7 by calling the 844 lawyers number. Again, it's toll free nationwide. And we also have one attorney that helps as like a director of that if there are cases, legal cases in other states. So people call.
We have we can help anyone in any state.
Correct. So long story short, basically, if the case is in Texas, then basically we'll get them in touch with a Texas attorney, but we'll have an attorney reach out to that specific attorney to basically get them help. So again, a lot of people in this state basically are from other states, right, and other cities. So we'll be able to connect them to other city and other attorneys in other states that basically when they need help, they don't have to call anyone else. So we're basically having different attorneys in every single state. And eventually there'll be a network basically in every state. So it'll be a nationwide, legal network. So basically no matter where you're from, there'll be lawyers that'll be accessible, 24/7.
Okay. So currently right now we're in Las Vegas or the state of Nevada.
Correct.
Right. But we are able to refer out to different states.
Correct.
Do you have a legal network any other state currently as well, or?
It's a great question. So basically we just kind of opened up Los Angeles Legal Network.
Oh, awesome.
And then basically because Pahrump is growing, we actually have the Pahrump Legal Network.
Oh, okay.
So right now, technically there's 3 separate apps that people can use, but the number 844 Lawyers goes directly
all of them.
to all of them.
So if I'm in Pahrump, I can call this 844
Correct.
Lawyers and you'll connect me with someone out in Pahrump.
Correct, exactly. So right now we have, like I said, Los Angeles, we have Pahrump, and we basically have Las Vegas, and basically it is expanding as we basically have different attorneys basically coming on board. Other attorneys are calling from different states and saying, hey, how can we open, our network basically in Washington State or in New York? Eventually there'll be a New York legal network as well. So in every state, there will be a different network.
Okay, got it. And your phone number for your office currently is?
So again, the best thing to do is to call the 844 Lawyers number. I mean, it's really easy. In general, that's the best number to call. My personal number, if they want to contact me, I can be reached at 702-400-7474. Again, 702-400-7474. But the toll-free 844 Lawyer number is just the best number to call. If for some reason someone doesn't pick up, goes to an answering service, then a text and email goes out to like a call-out list if there's a problem or concern. And like I said, if anybody wants to meet with myself as a potential person that needs some help or wants to be involved more, or if they're a lawyer looking to be part of the network, then, we're looking forward to meeting different people. Especially, again, we're trying to recruit retired police officers that want to help specifically with the accident mobile response and the homeless mobile response for the kind of the nonprofit community outreach that we're trying to do to basically help people.
Got it. So any retired police officer out there that wants to be a part of the efforts of the Las Vegas Legal Network, to be there kind of as an extension of Metro, of Henderson Police, an extension of a lawyer as well. We're looking for people,
correct,
for officers,
absolutely,
retired officers. Awesome, beautiful. And what other free services, David? We're running out of time here, but what other free services do you have for the community to be able to take advantage of?
So right now we're trying to add a lot of free services. So I'll just ramble out a few. But basically right now, it would be basically free traffic ticket representation for people that basically have a traffic ticket. If it's a local ticket in general, we do have some attorneys that were willing to do free traffic ticket representation, which means they'll go to court and fight that traffic ticket in order to basically resolve the matter for them. Doesn't mean that they're going to pay the fine, right? The fine is different, but they're trying to basically get like no points and basically trying to, the goal is to not to have the insurance go up.
Okay.
So they'll do free traffic ticket representation. The other thing is we also have some lawyers giving out some free record seal do-it-yourself kits.
Got it.
It's a little bit of a kit basically explaining how to seal your record. Because if you have something on your record, basically, you can be discriminated if you have a criminal record. Most people don't know this, but basically...
you can seal your record.
You can seal the record depending upon the amount of time, depending upon what you were arrested for. But one thing people don't know is that basically that criminal records, basically, it's not a protected class. So race and religion are protected classes. But basically, having a criminal record is not. So sealing the record is really important. It actually will help you in the future getting a job, employment, or housing, or basically even preventing yourself from getting rearrested, because police officers won't see that you have a record, so they're going to treat you differently, right? If you have a clean record, right, it's like half a great day. But if you've been arrested for murder or robbery, it's going to be okay. Well, where are you going?
Problem.
Where you headed to? There's a form called a DNA expungement if you want to basically expunge your DNA. And there's a certain period of time when you can do that if the case is dismissed. There's a form that basically a lawyer will assist with. We have another lawyer that will do free simple wills. A simple will be set up. You could fill out some information to do a simple will and notarize that, which is great. I'm trying to think what else there is. There could be also the healthcare proxy to help people. I believe there's another attorney doing free healthcare proxy. Basically, God forbid, like a do not resuscitate if you're in the hospital, fill out some of the forms. God forbid, especially like during COVID as well. So there are a lot of little free things that they're basically doing, especially most of the attorneys that we're working with basically will do free consultations. They'll do free strategy sessions, which are a little bit different. They'll work out a strategy for you. Whether you hire the firm or not, they would come up with a strategy for you. So to me, it's important. The free strategy and the free consultation is important, for people, the potential new clients that may not even have money, that basically need help, especially during these, kind of crazy economic times. So again, there's some great services. Again, all these things are being done by licensed attorneys, nothing to do with myself or other client relations people. We don't touch that. We are not lawyers. But the lawyers will be the ones that provide those services, and each attorney will be different, and they would meet them with their law office of which lawyer that they want to use, and they may get a list of 1, 2, or 3 different people as a referral.
Got it. Now, one last question, right before we run out of time here. What is the life of David Kohlmeier, the director and of client relations and founder of the Las Vegas Legal Network? What's your typical day look like for you?
Besides taking 3 kids to school, I'm kind of miss the mom in the morning. Is that I'm actively, like, constantly on the phone, texting and calling. I was with my dad a little bit earlier. We were dropping off a car for the wife because one car's in the shop. And I'm like on the phone constantly. So I know my father's probably sick of me talking about legal stuff, But, basically all day long, I'm texting and calling different people, different cases, referring them to different attorneys, saying, call the police, if you don't feel good, don't feel bad, go in the ambulance. It's okay. Go to the police, go make a report. A lot of people also false allegations or they're a victim of a crime. Some people they don't know. So go call the police, call 311. People say, what's 311, which is the non-emergency number. People don't even know that. So I'm always referring people a lot of resources to. I have a lot of people calling me that don't have any money that I'll say, contact the public defender, which is free. If you have no funds whatsoever, at least that you're getting some free services.
Some type of service.
Nevada legal aid. So I'm referring all day long. One of the jokes someone says is, I'm like a police officer, like a traffic officer, and I'm saying, you go here, you go there, and I'm moving.
You're directing the traffic.
Directing all the people all day long. So basically, I do feel at the end of the night, I feel good. Like I'm helping different people. I'm referring them to good people. I'm hearing success stories, from the lawyers and from the clients that they're happy that they're getting help. And, the problem is, like I said, sometimes too many lawyers are calling people. They don't know who the lawyers, they're overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So the truth is, having retired police officers vet lawyers that basically, that they feel that are the right people to help people, in some regards, I feel it's a blessing. And then if they don't like them, they don't have to use them. It's up to them. I mean, they're not signing a contract. It's just basically, we're more of a referral network, basically a lawyer referral network, referring people to different lawyers that are basically willing to help and are willing to go above and beyond. And I'm proud to basically be part of the Las Vegas Legal Network. I'm proud for the people that are basically being part of it. Like I said, we have different mobile notaries. We have different people that are doing different things. I have no problem spending money out of my pocket to basically help people, whatever I can do. This week, someone basically needed some housing, and basically, another nonprofit needed some money to keep the doors open. So I am going above and beyond, trying to help people in the community and paying it forward as well. And, hopefully I help people do good things, and hopefully the guy upstairs sees what I'm doing. So one of these days, he lets me in.
There you go. I love that. Well, you heard it here, right? So if you've ever, find yourself in a car accident, need some immigration help, family law help, first off, contact 911, right? Or the 311, the non-emergency number. But always make sure that you call the 844 lawyers to get connected with an attorney that we've already done the research on. They've already looked at reviews. They know how they work. They know the quality of service you're going to be receiving with these attorneys. It never hurts to just get an extra set of opinions on your case in particular. So with that, David, I do want to go ahead and wrap up. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for talking with me and taking time.
Oh, let me also go ahead and mention the office is there as well, right? If you're too scared for a phone call, show up at the office and they'll be able to gladly connect you with an attorney that's going to help you. Once again, that address was
400 South 4th Street, Suite 500. And then again, call the toll-free number. They'll help you from there.
The 844 lawyers.
Correct.
Beautiful. Awesome. Anything else that you wanted to add, David, before we wrap up for today?
I really appreciate your time, interviewing, going over this, as a host. And basically, we're going to have other people, basically different lawyers coming and talking about different things that are part of the network, basically sharing how they're helping people. So I really appreciate your time and looking forward to having more of these to educate the public of what we're doing basically in the community.
Absolutely. No, you know what? It's my honor. I thank you for the opportunity to be here. The more the community knows, the better informed decisions they can make. So let's make sure we put our best foot forward for everyone.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, David.